Today's video, I'm going to be talking about how the unrealized capital gains tax is going to affect tech hiring, particularly for this job that this channel covers. So, for those of you who don't know, this is actually a tax plan that's from the Harris administration, so I don't want to make this political at all. So if you guys want to troll me on the comments, like if I'm standing in any particular side, I have an opinion about this, my own personal opinion, but I'm trying to go out there and keep you guys informed so you know what's the best move for you to go ahead and do, because hiring has really picked up over the last 2 quarters compared to 2023. 2024 has been a much better year, and you can see that from the testimonials that we are pumping out on this YouTube channel. And overall, like, if you have access to a LinkedIn, you are seeing that people are actually getting jobs out there. But this little wrench that's being thrown in this little, for some of you, I don't know, it could be a good news. You guys have to understand, again, I don't want to be political at all. I don't want to go ahead because it seems like, if I stand on any which way, I think kind of both of these people a little bit crazy. I think most people would just agree with me on that. You can't be all for either or, especially if you're just talking about this one particular topic. I'm not going to keep it political, but I urge everybody to go ahead and watch this, which is why Silicon Valley is freaked out by Harris's unrealized capital gains tax. There is going to be, if this thing actually does go forward, there is going to be some impact, I believe, is going to happen, which is why I'm encouraging everybody to start a side hustle. Check out, I've already pumped out a lot of content on school in terms of like how to go ahead and start a side hustle. The curriculum and access to that is all linked in the description. But I think where it gets very, very slippery, and literally said like slippery soap out here, is this video. It's only 4 minutes and 43 seconds. I try to go out there and freeze frame some of the important topics of exactly like how is it going to go ahead and afford raise the corporate tax rate, what's it exactly going to go ahead and do. But I think the thing that people really need to go ahead and take a look at is who is on the team to go ahead and roll out this agenda, and whether, if you just take a very objective look at just looking at it for exactly what it is, they basically brought out this dude 5 days ago who is supposed to be, his name is Barat. I've never heard of this gentleman before. Not to say that, he's not credible or anything, but I just personally have never heard of him. When he was like asked, he could have been working on any campaign, representing either side, and I think he probably would have gotten fired. There was just so many questions that he just could not answer, which actually leaves a lot of room for concern and why Silicon Valley is really freaked out about this. So when asked just the most basic questions about how they're going to roll it out, when it's actually going to go ahead and kick in, and exactly like unrealized gains, if you watch the video, it's almost like, that one Captain America movie where it's like you are arresting the person before they commit the crime. I mean, that starts getting into a very slippery slope, right? There was a time a lot of people didn't know I majored in history. I was actually going to go into law school. I think that's kind of crazy. Exactly like what is that money going to be used on? Also, he didn't have a lot of answers for it. So I think in times like this, everybody, even if you're on the job, who knows who's going to win right now? At this point, it's kind of a coin toss. If you're looking at the polls, I don't care which side that you're supporting. You got to be on your side, first and foremost. I highly recommend for anybody that's on the job. I know it's not everybody's favorite topic, but start leveling up on your skills. Start polishing up your resume. Start getting involved in our school communities and start job hunting. And definitely, I think that's a very defensive measure. A very good offensive measure is to actually finally just start that side hustle already. And the reason for that is these things puts people in a mental tizzy where they start doing some crazy shit And the people that really get affected are not even so much the people that are going to get taxed, because it says it's only going to be applied to people with over $100 million, right? With assets over $100 million. But the decisions that those people make and how they feel and whether or not they like their waffles and eggs in the morning or somebody overcooked their steak last night, that impacts the average tech worker like yourself. So there always has to be, of course, you got to level up on AI. Of course, you have to do your job well. Of course, like what you're getting paid to do on the 9 to 5, you got to do it. But at the same time, in a market as volatile as this, you got to be doing everything everywhere all at once. You got to go out there and be job hunting. You got to go out there and be networking. You got to go ahead and start that side hustle already. And if you don't have enough time, like you got to go ahead and absolutely go ahead and make time. And I know a lot of people legitimately don't have time, but if you only got 2 hours a week, you got to make those 2 hours a week count, which is why I'm telling people to join school, because I've already laid out the blueprint for y'all. You got to be very well molded and diversified for, until we basically settle who's going to be in the White House, because either way, I think regardless of who wins, there's still going to be things are still going to be, I don't know, weirder, more chaotic. I don't want to say they're bad because people in our program are still getting the job, but I don't want to go ahead and dismiss the fact that people are working harder and exerting more effort to get this job, and the amount of effort that is required to get the job at the salary rate that people want to go ahead and gun in this market has also required leveling up. I'm also not going to sugarcoat that if you're on the job right now, there's nothing chill about it, right? There's layoffs. I'm not going to go ahead and pretend like the 500-pound elephant in the room doesn't exist. But the truth that, like, if you're still on the job right now, you're doing 5 to 8 people's jobs. I mean, that's just a fact. Like, they have to go out there and make up the difference. I don't think anybody's working 40 hours. I don't think anybody's been working 40 hours a week in a very long time. So I hate to drop this to you, especially, coming back from Labor Day weekend. But this is actually very real. I'm very concerned for especially people that have families, mouths to feed, and mortgages to go ahead and pay. The young single people that are going to go ahead and take a few weeks off of job hunting, that's going to go to Cabo or Miami and just chill out. Obviously, it's sometimes you're going to need that rest and that break to come back. But my advice to everybody is start leveling up on your skills, especially any type of AI skill that you can learn. Definitely, you should level up on it. We've got 3 extraordinary ones that's based upon the hiring managers has told us that they really wanted those AI certifications, which is AI SQL, the chatbot certification, and then also the AI automation certification, where we're showing you how to automate manual processes. 100% must do. Get your resume polished. And I have resume templates that are ready to go, because if you start sending out the resumes the day that you get laid off, it's already too late. You should get head start. You should get your interview practice in. You should start networking. This is why getting involved in the community is so important. The next thing also is create a side hustle. What if so many people have gotten laid off, since April 2022, had to come back into the program, April 2023, 2024. There's been people that's been laid off multiple times. It's horrible. I mean, I don't want to say this, but it is what it is. I think it's better to go out there and be prepared. If you think about it this way, like when we were back in COVID, would you have rather hear that, things are going to get bad, we don't know what's going on, you need to go ahead and be prepared, have this much money, go ahead and saved up, rather than like all the positive news? And then that day, I remember when everybody was scrambling over to the grocery store, was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in person in my life ever. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. But wouldn't you rather have all the information so that you can go ahead and make all the preparations possible? Or would you like people to go ahead and just sing Kumbaya and say, yeah, it's going to be good, it's going to be good? Like, no. You got to go ahead. Of course, we need to hope for the best, but we absolutely need to prepare for the worst. And during times like this, you should never, ever, ever be alone. My name is Rich. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I will have more news for you later, but this is going to be... I don't want to say I'm for it or against it, because that shows that I'm choosing a side. But at the same time, when you have a spokesperson that comes out that can't answer really basic level questions from a channel, CNBC, that's kind of left-leaning, this does leave a lot of room for concern, even if you're on the left. Yeah, crazy times we live in. Crazy times. When I was growing up, I did not remember things being this crazy, especially during a presidential election. But these are crazy times. So see you in school, don't be late to school.